I've always said that I believed in thy will be done. I was raised in Southern Baptist Sunday school, and I really embraced this notion of God. Took me until my second marriage fell apart that I realized all along I had been controlling everything with crushing levels of anxiety, and my prayer sounded more like, thy will be done, but I have a few tips and suggestions for you, God, in case you missed it. And I mean, come on, why shouldn't God listen to my ideas? I like to be the boss of things. I've always relied on my intellect. I'm smart. Just let me do it. I will force it to go the right way. But you see, when you're seeking control of the things around you so that you can feel safe, both physically and emotionally, the next step, of course, is to unknowingly exert control over people. Ooh, and am I good at that? Look at my chosen profession. As a teacher, I got my very own classroom where I was the boss at 25 kindergartners. Oh, I love that. And then I landed in the role as the regional superintendent, and there are a lot of things now that I get to direct. But when it came to my personal relationships, I applied the same desire to control things. Now, as I look back on my childhood, I had very little trauma or drama. I had the same intellect as my dad, be good at school and get good grades. My parents were loving and kept me safe, complete with everything I ever needed, from family vacations to college tuition. Shouldn't everyone want to do it that way? You know, my way. What I didn't realize at the time is that I had no life experience. Working through conflict and hard things builds strength and resilience. I am in no way advocating for bad things to happen to people, but the strongest women I know are the way they are because things didn't work out, not because they did. And they are on this stage tonight with me, and I know many of you out there in the audience. So, this lack of experience led me to believe that I somehow knew better, or at least had, great tips and suggestions. I approached dating this way. Instead of focusing on how I could show up as my best self, I would connect with someone begin the process of hoping for their potential. I could just see their best self if only they would change and grow like a man is a house to flip, all shiny and new. Well, the problems here are many, of course. First, people are who they are. Second, just because my childhood and early life experience worked for me and was what I wanted, didn't mean that the men I dated wanted the same. Why should they? And lastly, why wasn't I being honest with myself and then with them about exactly what I wanted in life and finding someone to be in a relationship with that wanted the same things? I was blocking my own way, not them. Then I read the book, Let Them. By Mel Robbins. It simply says, let people be who they are. And in response, let me control my own responses and behavior. Oh, all this time I certainly had the let me part. Just let me do it. Oh, if only about 7 or 8 Beths ago, I had read this book. Let me tell you, when I say that this approach causes a lot of heartache, it's an understatement. It can be so easy to say, well, I just picked bad partners and throw my ex-husbands under the bus. But that would be unfair, and more importantly, it wouldn't be true. I'm the common denominator here. Thought I could marry my first husband and encourage him to embrace a family life that I had grown up in. When that imploded after 2 wonderful children, we got divorced and I went to therapy. I entered into a second marriage that I desperately wanted, and I doubled down. Looking back now, I can see how I was trying to exert control over the relationship and how I thought it should go. It's just so obvious now that we were not compatible and we hurt each other quite a bit. I tried so hard to force it to be good, to force it to be a fairy tale. And what I've learned is when you have to force something, life gets very hard in all areas. There is no natural flow. And I truly believe that that's how God or the universe or our creator communicates to us that there's a need to change. I believe it so much I need to let you know something. My second wedding was at a golf course where a windstorm came through, swept all the outside furniture, broke it all, shut down the power, and there were no generators. But I was gonna marry him anyway. So, if I write a memoir, it shall be called God Sent a Tornado and I Married Him Anyway. Some of y'all out there were there, you know. So now, as I sit in this version of myself that knows a bit more, has a bit more experience, I just weep for the pain it all caused. I hurt both of those men very much by not accepting who they truly were. They were not the right relationship for what I wanted in life. I hurt myself. At one point in my second marriage, I lost so much weight and had so many stomach issues, I was physically ill. I hurt my parents. Divorce hurts your extended family because they become entwined in those relationships and they lose as well. It hurt friendships. But my biggest regret is how I hurt my children. I broke up their family. I entered into a second marriage that deeply affected them and hurt them greatly. Parents give children a lot of reasons to go to therapy, and I know exactly why mine will. They had no say in any of it, and I had no choice. I have such regret around the life lessons that I had to learn coming at their expense. I'm truly sorry, Abby and Kate. So now I found myself on the floor sobbing with my dog because I'm now twice divorced. But it started an avalanche of having to look in the mirror and figure out that this clenched fist approach and bossing everyone around wasn't working. I most certainly have to let them. The big change was meeting an old friend that made me feel safe and seen and is home if home were a person. The grounding effect of my Brien has allowed me to take a deep breath and feel strong enough to look at what hasn't been working for me. And the deep irony is that while I was begging God to listen to my tips and suggestions about the way that my life and my other marriages should go, when I finally let go of that tight grip and forcing things to go my way, the greatest surprise of my life appeared out of nowhere at a regional basketball game at Manual High School. Brien asked me to go to dinner in 2018 after that game, and when I say things started to flow, I mean the connection was effortless. When you're on the right path, the next steps appear if you're just willing to follow. And if I'm being honest, his timing has been perfect. One of my priorities is my parents and spending a lot of time with them. My previous relationships, well, they didn't want the same thing. In 2021, my dad fell down a flight of stairs and suffered a traumatic brain injury, and he had to learn to talk, walk, and eat again. This has required more of my time and support, and I want to give it. Brien has supported each and every family dinner, visit, overnight stay in the hospital, and the honey-do lists that my mom gives him. There are so many other things since 2018 that I'm really not sure how I could have survived without him by my side because, woo, life is sure gonna life, right? Think back. The list of things I can't control is rather monumental, you know, like lockdown in schools. Moving my office. Now I'm gonna retire and step out into the void. The earliest versions of me with no experience, no tools in the toolkit, couldn't have handled it. The hard-earned wisdom with a partner that loves and cares for me just as I am not only has helped me to survive it all, but to continue to grow and thrive. I get so upset about and mad and sad about the time that I wasted. But honestly, I don't think it could have happened any other way. I'm crazy about you, B. I didn't know it could be like this. But I do need to insert this. Beth's tips and suggestion box will probably always be open for business. Just ask my kids or my brother or my loving husband, who I told him yesterday he could pick out what to wear tonight, but this morning I'm like, how about this? So maybe those prayers are not just God's tips and suggestion box from Beth, or comment box or fix it box. Maybe it is a time to breathe, connect, unclench your fist, and to trust what's on the other side of control. To not have to know everything, to not have to have all of the right answers, and know that I am truly not alone in my stew of anxiety and control. And I can let other people be who they are, and I can just be me.